Beck, sit down. Sit down. Let me take care of you.
Hello, you. Okay, I'm gonna take off this hat because it looks fucking stupid. Reveal, I got a haircut. So much has happened since I last made a video. There is a reason for that. I went back home. I took a little trip back home. I'll put in some clips. And then I was hanging out with my friends, and I don't know, it's now been like a month and a half since my last video, so sorry. But also I was finishing reading books. If you couldn't, I'm not gonna put it backwards. If you couldn't tell why I'm dressed like this today, like why I have this fugly hat on, today we're gonna be talking about the series You by Kepnes, and it has the first book is called You, the second book is called Hidden Bodies, and the third book is called You Love Me. I got the trilogy. I have been obsessed with this show for like basically since it came out. Like I've watched this shit in like 3 different countries, probably 4. Like every time I move, a new season comes out, and I'm always on top of that ish. Like, it's my show. All seasons are out, so you can now watch it on Netflix. There's 5 seasons. I highly recommend. It is one of, if not my favorite series ever. Like, it's so good. Anyway, the book. And also, I thought this would be fun if it's like a twofer, like you're getting 2 for 1. Emily Rawls and Carolyn Riggs' The Little Book of Psychology. I finished this. I told y'all I was gonna finish it, and it actually, having taken a psychology class, having taken 2 psychology classes and read this little overview, I'm not gonna go into depth about this, but it did provide some like interesting like insights, because the protagonist of this book is a psychopath. So this had some interesting things. Okay, I'm wearing some stupid-ish, well actually, this is like what he wears in the show, like to stalk people, like a hat and a jacket. He's always wearing like a white shirt and jeans, because if you're a 20-year-old, like 120-pound twink in Bushwick, or fucking the West Village, like that's all you need to, I don't know, fucking bag a girl. He's like, no, like, I'm from Brooklyn, like, you don't get me. Pack it up, like, it's time to go. We start out, he works at a bookstore. His name is Joe Goldberg. He works at a bookstore. He is recently broken up with his ex-girlfriend Candace, and in walks this fucking fox, Guinevere Beck, and she's like, she's not wearing a bra, like she's wearing a one-shoulder sweater, and he's like, I'm gonna fuck her right here on the stacks. Count how many times he mentioned his dick was hard, or he was horny, or he wanted to eat her pussy. Like, I would be rich if I had $1 each time. I'm gonna take you right here in the fiction F through K, make you like scream. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, like, get a life. Like, he is a scathing misogynist. It's written by a woman, but the male perspective of misogyny is so fucking crazy. It was like, how could a woman have written this? It's fucking insane. Like, he's like, oh, you're an attention-seeking whore, like, you just want my dick so bad, like, he's like, women are stupid, women are emotional. He meets Beck. She's like a little flirty with him, and so he looks her up, and he finds where she lives, he finds her college, like, all of her friends. She's friends with this woman named Peach Salinger, J.D. Salinger's niece or whatever, granddaughter, I don't know. And she's seeing this piece of shit guy named Benji, who is like rich and an asshole, and he has this like artisanal soda company because he lives in West Village. So Peach is a piece of shit to her. Benji's a piece of shit to her. He finds out all this stuff about her, stalks her, watching her from her window across the street, jerking off, like watching her have sex with Benji, who was a piece of shit. He finds out all her little kinks and fetishes and like things she likes, and I was like, oh my god, like I can't read this in front of people because it's fucking weird. Basically, he stalks her. He finds out that she's gonna read poetry because she's an MFA student in creative writing. So they're going to her poetry reading. Peach is like offering to lend her money because she's fucking broke. Benji won't show up to her reading. Anyway, long story short, Joe is there, watches this all go down. Like, she embarrasses herself on stage. He follows her to the subway, where she's so drunk she falls on the tracks. He saves her, steals her phone so that he can read her email and know everything about her. Like, he can still read her phone after she buys a new one because she refuses to tell her mom that she lost her phone, so her mom is still paying for her phone line for this other phone so Joe can hack it and like not hack it but like invade her privacy and read her life. He's like, I feel so close to her. Like, you're reading her intimate emails, you're reading her email, like whatever. So now Beck is like aware of Joe because he saved her when she fell into the tracks. So they start like kind of going out. Like, she visits him at the bookstore and she gives him like Dan Brown because when they met he made a joke about Dan Brown. She inscribes it with a little inside joke, like, when your girl falls on the tracks, pick her up, pick her up, pick her up. From there, Joe is desperate to get in with her, but it's obvious that Beck is like keeping him at an arm's length. So he's like, what can I do to make this better? He kills Benji because that's an obvious roadblock, right? If the girl you want to fuck, date, already has a boyfriend, like a sneaky link, whatever, situationship, you have to kill him. So basically, he lures this artisanal soda guy, Benji, to his bookstore, and we find out that he has a fucking cage in his basement at the bookstore, and he locks Benji in this cage. And it's like a large acrylic glass cage where his old boss used to keep like first editions and shit of rare copies of books. It's here we find out when he locks Benji in the cage, he's like, I used to spend so much time in here as a kid, like, it's so beautiful. We find out more about his past. So basically, we learn he has abandonment issues. Yes! His mom had left and he lived with his dad, and then he ran away to Mr. Mooney, who is the boss, the owner of the bookshop, and his dad didn't even notice he was gone, didn't put out a missing persons report, so still abandonment issues. Mr. Mooney takes him in, and as punishment, whenever he does something wrong, like he, I don't know, alphabetizes books incorrectly, he locks Joe in this fucking acrylic cage, and he's like, I used to talk to these typewriters, they all have names, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, what? They all have names. I talk to them, and he's like, it's very peaceful for me, like, this is a beautiful thing. He's a sociopath. He talks to typewriters, and he thinks that a cage is, like, beautiful, and he, like, jerks off to the thought of the cage. Anyway, he lures Benji to the bookstore by saying he's, like, an editor for the New York Times, and he's gonna put Benji's soda company in their, like, new edition, or whatever. I don't know. Obviously, Benji's, like, ecstatic. And he's like, yeah, I'll meet you at this, like, totally underground, nondescript cafe. So he meets Benji. Then he hits him in the head, and he puts Benji in the cage. Benji goes crazy, but then he recognizes Joe, because when he dropped Beck off after saving her from the tracks, Benji was there. And that's when they first met. So he was like, I remember you. Your name's Joe. You were with Beck. If you want Beck, she doesn't want you because you're not rich. And you're not, like, a type of person like me. And he's trying to tell Joe, like, Beck has all of these problems, like, this is not what you want, you don't want to be doing this for Guinevere Beck. And he's like, you're a piece of shit, like, don't talk about my bitch that way. A little later, he kills Benji, writes him out of the story, basically. The story of Beck, he writes him out of it. Basically, Joe and Beck become a little closer without the, obstacle of Benji. They're getting really close, like, their relationship is starting for real, but she's still kind of, like, keeping him at an arm's length. She's still, like, fucking guys off Tinder, like, she's still living a single life, but she goes out with Joe. Joe is really, really, really vying for that boyfriend spot, so he makes the most romantic date ever, and he takes her on the fucking, like, horses in the carriage at Central Park, and they go to this fucking expensive bar, and she tweets from the bar. Basically, every single time they've gotten close to, like, fucking or, like, kissing or anything, like, to advance the relationship, Peach calls Beck away. She's like, I need you. You cannot, like, I don't know where you are, but I need you. So, next target is Peach, because Peach is getting in the way of the relationship now, because Peach wants Beck all to herself. When Beck tweets from the bar, Peach calls the fucking bar. Peach is like, hi, and they're like, this is Ben Woman's bar, and she's like, give me one of your goddamn Beck. And so they find Beck, and prior to this, Beck is like under the table to Joe, because she's like head over heels at this whole date he's fucking planned for them, and then Peach ruins it. So that's obviously Joe's last straw, because he was so close. Beck and Joe have sex for the first time. Joe lasts 8 seconds, and he gets absolutely flamed in Beck's group chat. And then she is drifting away, and he's like, fuck, like, it's because I only lasted 8 seconds. But actually, he follows her and reads her email, and he sees this email from the captain, and he's like, what the fuck, she's cheating on me, because his ex cheated on him, and he's paranoid. So he follows her to this Dickens festival, and lo and behold, Beck had told Joe that her dad was dead, and all of her poetry is about her dad being dead. But Joe follows Beck to the Dickens festival and finds out her dad is very much alive, with stepchildren and a new wife. He follows her there, he finds this out, and he's like, well, at least she's not cheating, and then he leaves. They get closer. She confesses to him that her dad is not dead, even though she didn't catch him at the festival stalking her. She confessed to him that, hey, my dad's not dead, by the way. I just tell everybody that. So now they have a secret, and Joe feels closer to her. She goes to his house for the first time and nearly catches him, like, in his, like, dirty apartment with, like, her panties everywhere. Her phone is somewhere in there, like, her box, like, his collection of things that he's stolen from her, like, used tampons, are scattered around the place. So he's like, fuck, didn't know you wanted to come over, Beck. So he, like, leaves the bookstore early to tidy up all of his mementos. Peach takes Beck to Little Compton, Rhode Island, and to keep an eye on her and get away for the weekend because he deserves it. Joe follows her to Little Compton, and he doesn't go out there with the intention to kill Peach. Like, that's not his goal when he goes out there. He's just, like, keeping an eye on her. He's watching everything that happens, and they're just doing shit. Like, they go for runs in the mornings on the beach, and they go shopping, and they are, like, lazing around in, like, Ralph Lauren Four Seasons hotel fucking robes. Like, I don't know, like, they're just, like, living life. And then Beck, like, lays on the couch, and she's like, I'm super stressed. And she, like, lays back, and Peach tries to eat her out. Or, like, kind of succeeds, actually. Like, she starts making advances on Beck, and Beck doesn't say no at first, but then she pushes Peach off, and she's like, no, what the fuck? And Peach is like, this is why no man likes you, because you're fucking selfish, and you can't accept love, and this, and this, and this. And just saying really hurtful shit to Beck, because she rejected her advance. And Beck is like, this isn't even the first time that it happened, like, I don't know. Obviously, this sets Joe off, and he's like, why the fuck are you touching my girl? Even though they're not even dating at this point. Like, at this point, they have such a weird relationship. Like, Joe will hit up Beck. He thinks in his head they're still dating, but to her, like, this is just like a silly fun thing. And he's like, do you want to come over? Like, do you want to hang out? Let's do dinner. Can I come over? And she's like, no, can't, class, busy. He cannot get time alone with her. So obviously he must take out his main competitor, who is Peach. So this isn't the first time he's tried to kill Peach, by the way. First time he tried to hit her over the head with a rock in Central Park. By the way, she listens to Elton John out loud while she runs. She deserved to die. But I'm not. Anyway, first time he hits her over the head with a rock in Central Park. She lives, and he's like, what the fuck? What if she recognizes me? She doesn't. But she's like, I have a stalker. And Peach is a little self-obsessed, I can't lie, but so is Beck. He lets her live until now, when he sees her touching up on his girl. So the next morning, Peach leaves alone for the run that her and Beck have been going on this whole time. And he follows her and catches up to her and, like, tackles her. And then she sees him and she's like, it was you, like, you're obsessed with me. And he's like, you dumb bitch. But anyway, he wins, fills her pockets with rocks and throws her in the water. So Peach gone. And he sends Beck an email from Peach that's like super poetic and says like, I need time away. And Beck thinks that she's just going away to like Paris or Turks and Caicos or some shit. And this is normal for Peach. Like, Peach just disappears sometimes. So with Peach out of the way, Joe and Beck finally have their in. And they are hardcore dating. They're dating it up. They have inside jokes. Like, they have this robe thing where they're always in their robes in Beck's apartment. Joe is basically like infantilizing. Like, he infantilizes Beck to maintain his power over her. Like, because she has daddy issues, like, but also he's so good at playing roles that he knows nothing about. He can play a rich idiot because before he killed Peach in Little Compton, he hit a deer and got caught by a cop, and the cop took him to the hospital because he pretended to be some rich snobby fuck. Joe grew up poor. He knows nothing about rich people other than observing. He is so observant that he's able to completely mimic somebody's personality and use it to get him out of a sticky situation, which he did. He got stitches on his forehead and walked out of the hospital without even having to provide an ID. So, but also when he would be stalking Beck outside of her like apartment, like watching her from across the street, he'd be like, today I'm gonna dress up as like a handyman, or today I'm gonna dress up in a suit because I'm in West Village and I want to look the part. Like, he can play a role so well. And so he plays the role of Beck's like daddy. He keeps her small and infantile and childish to maintain power over her. And he reduces her to like this canvas, like painting his perceptions all over her, like his opinions, his reality of Beck versus who Beck actually is that we find out later in the book. So things are going great between him and Beck. And then she starts getting a little distant, like, again. And she's like, well, she finds out Peach died, whatever. That, like, wasn't as big of a plot point as it was in the show. But he takes advantage of her in her time of need and is obviously there for her. She starts drifting again. And he checks her emails, nothing. It's like, it's weird. So he throws a typewriter. I don't know, at one point he throws a typewriter at his wall in his apartment and creates a hole where he starts to hide all of, you know, his mementos. Then he finds out she's been going to therapy. Rumor has it she's been fucking Romeo's daddy in Romeo's bed. Oh my god. So Joe built Beck's bed because she broke it, fucking some guy off Tinder. So he goes to IKEA with her, and it's like a cute date, like in 500 Days of Summer. He builds her bed, and it's like very, like, again, he's her daddy, but she's fucking Romeo's daddy in Romeo's bed. Tienes que escuchar mi cuerpo, chicos, sabes que necesito esto, puedes ser mi papi, puedo ser tu bebé, me follas como un perito comprende. Just like that. So, she's fucking her therapist. He finds out because he starts going to the same therapist, and at first he's like actually enjoying therapy, which he should, except that he's lying to his therapist. Like, kind of. He and Beck break up, so he starts going to therapy because he knows that she's cheating on him with a therapist. So he breaks up with her, and he's like, what can I do to get over it? Because at this point, he's kind of like, I'm done taking care of you. And he starts criticizing Beck. Like, he's criticizing Beck for things that he glazed over or, like, completely ignored in months prior. Anyway, he breaks up with Beck. He starts going to therapy. And he pretends to be this random guy, Dan Fox. And he's like, I have OCD and I'm obsessed with this video by this band. The therapist is like, you have a mouse in your house and you need to get a mouse in your house. So the mouse is the video and the house is his head. And he's like, you need a cat. So in the metaphor, his house is like his sanity and Beck is the mouse. So he's trying to get Beck off of his mind. So he takes this as he needs to start dating a new bitch. So he dates the first bitch he sees on the subway, Karen Minty. She's a nurse and a fucking great cook. Probably the happiest Joe's ever been because she likes to fuck. It's great. It's going great. Like, it's genuinely a nice relationship. I rooted for her the entire relationship. I didn't see a single thing wrong with her. She's like this cute little southern bumpkin nurse. Like, so what if she like Kings of Queens? He keeps going back to therapy and he's genuinely enjoying it. He is identifying with the therapist, Dr. Nikki, and who's not a doctor, by the way. He's not even a doctor. Dr. Nikki's not licensed, and you can tell because he fucked his patient. One day, he's talking to Joe about Karen Minty, and he's like, you've got to break up with this girl if you don't like her. So they do. They break up because Dr. Nikki gives Joe homework that's like, name 10 things you like about Karen Minty, and he fucking can't. So they break up. And Joe asked Dr. Nikki, do you love your wife? And he's like, I did once. And the next session, Dr. Nikki's like, sorry, I shouldn't have told you that. Like, that was completely unprofessional. Shit's hitting the fan at home. I can't be your therapist anymore. You need a referral. So he writes Joe a referral to a different therapist, and he steps outside for like 5 minutes to take a call from his wife because his wife is blowing up on him. Dr. Nikki told his wife about Beck. So, shit is hitting the fan at home. While Dr. Nikki's out, Joe hacks into Dr. Nikki's computer and steals the audio files from Beck's sessions and listens to them. And the first session with Beck and Dr. Nikki's eating her up. He's like, this bitch is a nymphomaniac. She can't stop trying to seduce me. She told me she fucked her therapist in college. She's wearing like slutty clothes, obviously trying to seduce me even though she knows I have a wife and kids. Beck wanted Dr. Nikki to leave his wife and kids for her, but also didn't think it was that serious. He got to the point where he was going to leave his wife, not his kids. He wanted her to be a stepmother. She didn't want that. So she kind of ruined his life and was taking joy in it. If you can't tell already, Beck is a horrible person. Whether Joe will accept it or not, Beck is a horrible person. And Dr. Nikki was eating her up and then started falling for her. Like, when they would sleep together, they started having an affair, but it was crazy. He was like, in the audio files Joe was listening to, he was like, I don't know, glazing Beck. He was completely under her manipulation, which as a therapist is completely irresponsible. I don't think I have to even say that. But also, he bought Beck a MacBook Air and told her that Joe was probably reading her emails and that she should make a new email just for Dr. Nikki. So she did. So Joe didn't know the extent until he found all of this out. So that's that. That was, yeah. Despite her affair, Joe breaks up with Karen Minty, gets back with Beck. They're going good for a while. They're going really good. Like, housewife. They're thinking about moving in with each other. Like, it's getting serious. And so one day Beck comes to the bookstore asking Joe for his keys, because she's going to spend the night at his house. She has a roach infestation, so he can't come over to hers in West Village, so they have to go to his in like Brooklyn. He's like, I'm super poor and I live in the ghetto and everything is bad. So he gives Beck his keys because she's going to be home before he will. So in his mind all day he's like hyping up their date tonight. He's like, this is gonna be great, like this is gonna be amazing. And then he gets home and he opens the lock and Beck is in his wall, in his little hidey hole. Beck is in his hole. Beck is in his hole. Beck is in his hole. She's like, you're a psycho, sicko, pervert, twisted. Like, he has her yearbook, her panties, her used tampons, like, it's a little fucking crazy. Her phone, like, he has everything. And she's like, you hacked my fucking email. He's like, I didn't hack shit. I love you too much for that. This is love. I wanted to find about you. I wanted to know you. And he's like, how do you think it felt for me to come home and see you snooping and spying in my wall? And she's like, are you fucking, you have a box of my used tampons. It's so not the same thing. But anyway, she tries to fight back and run and scream, and he's like, I had to hold your tiny small little head in my hands and smash it against the wall. He takes her body to the cage, locks her in the cage. She's like, what the fuck am I doing in a cage? She tries to butter him up, like she starts glazing him to get out of the cage, obviously. He like explains everything to her, like, I killed Benji and Peach for your benefit. And then he's like, we need something to bond together. So they start reading he starts making her read the Da Vinci Code. Just like, okay. He's like, this is the only book neither of us have read, so we have to read it together. So they start reading it together, and then they like bond and they start like together. They're together. And he finally feels like they're at a point where he can let her out of the cage or whatever. They finish the Da Vinci Code and she's like, to celebrate we should get ice cream. So he leaves to get ice cream, brings it back, and they boink one of the many times. Ever since he lasted 8 seconds, they've boinked plenty. But this is the first time they're boinking in the cage, and he leaves the door open, pretends to sleep, but he's really awake, keeping an eye on her. But in the morning, when he wakes up to go brush his teeth, he leaves the door open because he's like, we don't need locks anymore. Like, I trust you. We are brand new. This is a new morning and a new day. So he leaves the door open. In the bathroom, he's like, I can't hear anything because the fan is on, and you can't have the light on without having the fan on, and the fan is fucking loud as shit, so we can't hear anything. But he's like, even if you did try to escape, it's 4 a.m. and you're naked, and nobody's awake in New York at 4 a.m, which isn't a lie, but it's also not the truth. Like, obviously there's people awake, but what are the chances somebody's gonna walk by while she's like trying to escape? And also the door is locked and she doesn't know where the key is, because she's, in his mind, she's stupid because she didn't work at the bookstore long enough to know where he keeps the spare key. Lo and behold, he leaves the bathroom. She's trying to escape. She's like banging on the window door, trying to get somebody to help. Nobody's here. He forces her under the counter and is like holding her, and he's like, you're like you always do, your anger fizzles out and you're fine now. So he's like holding her under the counter. And this is probably the scariest part of the book to me. She like starts disassociating. He's like, and now you're my little doll, sad Beck. You don't talk, you only cry. And I can like imagine this vividly. Like, she's in his arms, completely given up. She's fought him plenty, but she's giving up now. Like, she's sitting there, like, just crying. She doesn't stop crying and she's not talking. And he's like, what are we gonna do with you? What am I gonna do with you, Beck? Or what happens to you, Beck? And she's like, I disappear. That is scary. That's literally frightening. Like, that was the scariest part of the book for me to read. And he's like, no, like, I would never hurt you. I would never hurt you. She starts like begging for her life. She's like, you can let me go. You will never see me again. I won't say anything. And he's like, no, that's not what I want you to say. I want you to say you forgive me and you love me and you want to be with me forever. And she keeps saying, like, I just want to leave. I want to leave. I'm going to go far away. And he's like, no, that's not what I want. So he starts strangling her. And he's like, just to make the wrong answers go away. Like, they bubble out of your eyes. Like, it's fucking, like, his description is horrifying. And he's like, you go limp. Like, she goes limp. And he's like, fuck, like, tearing his hair out. And he's like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, you're dead now. But she was acting, because she gets up and she kicks him in the balls and, like, pushes him to his side and tries to run again. But, again, wrong answer. And he strangles her for real this time. He's, like, strangling her. And he grabs a copy of the Da Vinci Code while he's strangling her, and he rips pages out with his teeth and spits them into her mouth. And he's like, my saliva that you wanted so badly this whole time, have it, ho. Since you couldn't love me, you can have my saliva and also Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown in your mouth. And she's choking. Obviously, she's being strangled. And, like, the blood that's coming up is being soaked up by the Da Vinci Code. It's horrifying, frightening to read, but really fucking good. Anyway, she dies. He pins it on Dr. Nicky. He puts the box of mementos on his property, or one of his properties, and buries her body on one of his properties, and he goes down for it. Joe starts dating this new girl named Amy Adam and is moving on with his life. And he's like, I would talk to you, her corpse, but you're dead. And he's like, you would love this, but you're dead. And he's like talking to Beck, and then he moves on to Amy Adam. But he's still kind of comparing the two. You are dead and you're not coming back. And he's just kind of like moved on, hopeful that this experience will have changed him. And yeah, that was the book. He's like, I chose wrong when I picked Beck, and I see that now. Just like, what? But the Little Book of Psychology, I finished while I was maybe halfway through this book. And what I thought was interesting, and really the entire reason I wanted to talk about this book, it's not really the Oedipus complex or the Electra complex. Well, it's the Oedipus complex. Joe wants to recreate somebody like his mother, except somebody who won't abandon him, because he has mommy issues. His mother, abandoned him, and he's looking for somebody to love and care for who won't abandon him. And what I also thought was interesting, not to psychoanalyze a fictional character, but I read that during the oral stage of development, I think that's like Freud, the oral stage of development, if a child has an oral fixation during that stage of development, they become a needy adult. And I'm thinking Joe was a neglected child, so I wouldn't be surprised if he kept the pacifier in for longer than he should have, which became an oral fixation, or even his thumb or something. Like, I just think it's so interesting. But also, he grew up in a really rough, childhood. But it was a really good book for the first one. I'm currently reading, I think I'm like 4 chapters into Hidden Bodies, which is the second book. And it's kind of tame for now, for Joe Goldberg. But Caroline Kepnes is a beautiful author. You cannot tell that this was written by a woman, because it sounds like it's like a man's inner monologue. Not that I've ever been in a man's inner monologue, but I know what misogynistic men sound like, and that's it. I was just so taken aback. Like, she wrote the perfect psychosexual, psychopathic misogynist. Like, fucking crazy. It's really good. And also, reading back, the show did a fucking excellent job of capturing season 1. I mean, there are some things that it missed, obviously, some things that are different in the show than in the book. For example, in the book, Paco doesn't exist. I really like the Paco storyline in the show, but in the book, if Paco existed, it would take away from Joe's, like, single-minded pursuit of Beck. And it is so good. I really, really highly recommend this first book. I'm sorry it took so long for me to read it. I was busy, told ya. But thanks for listening. I really, destroyed my phone storage for this video, so hope you enjoyed, and I will come back with the next one. I don't know if I'm gonna come back when I finish Hidden Bodies, or if I'm gonna do I'll probably do another video on a different book. But love you guys. Thank you. Like, subscribe, comment, follow, Sunday Radio Punk on Instagram and YouTube. Thank you.